Hello, I'm Victoria Reynoldson, Communication and Culture Coach, and welcome to today's Wednesday Words, where we'll be doing something a little bit different. So, if you've been following me for a while, then you know that Wednesday Words are usually my opportunity to share with you key communication skills and strategies that you can use for your own learning and development. Today, I wanted to do something different, which is actually share with you in more detail about how I work and share with you one of my key programs that I have with my clients, the 9 steps to communication confidence, because I realize I haven't really talked much about this so far. So, this particular program, I work with usually clients who come to me as individuals, sometimes independently or through their company. But these are people who are very committed, ambitious, and they understand that their communication skills are very important to unlocking their performance currently within their role, their development, but also it's about their long-term career. So they can see how communication skills in English are going to help them as they move forward to their next job role, their promotion, and onwards. The way that I work is in this particular program, it has 9 key steps, and I work together with somebody in 90-day programs. So it usually lasts around 3 months. And rather than going through every single step of the program here today, I just thought I'd give you a summary of the 3 stages so you get a feel about how it works. So the first stage is clarity. And this is incredibly important because sometimes I have a client come to me and one, they haven't really understood or established what their specific communication goals are and how these relate to their career goals. And two, they may have a very specific view about their communication goal, their communication performance today. Now, that view sometimes isn't so accurate and it generally is more negative than reality. So people tend to be quite self-critical about their current performance and don't necessarily acknowledge where they're doing well and their strengths are. So it's important to me that I give objective feedback. We do this through an evaluation session at the beginning of the program so that we have a really clear view of strengths and development areas and where the focus of the program should be. And that helps me to put together a roadmap. This is a personal roadmap which lays out where the focus of the program is and how we're going to reach the communication goals. From there, we then look at how the brain works. And I am very excited to share as part of my program the opportunity to take a neurometric profile. This is something I'm qualified in. It is a profiling tool based on neuroscience, and it helps my clients understand how is their brain working, what are their preferences, and importantly, how is this influencing how they communicate, how confident do they feel in certain situations, and how are they learning. So we use this as part of the foundation stage. So that's clarity. With these foundations in place, we then move into agility, communication agility. And this is where we really focus and get going with developing those communication skills. And this is exciting because we personalize this to the client depending on exactly what they need. So I find that most clients need meeting communication, for example, where we really explore the best ways to approach meetings, how to express yourself clearly and concisely, but also how to deal with challenges in meetings. So thinking about when things are not going to plan and how do you react to that and manage that professionally. So that's meeting communication. For some clients, they are doing a lot of presentations internally or externally. And of course, this sometimes can be a very high pressure situation. So that's why I also offer a module in presentation communication to help people to think about how do they build their presentation, particularly for the virtual space, as many people are still doing this, but also how do they come across, whether it's presence, energy, body language, voice. And we also think about the structure of the presentation and making sure it really works for an audience where you're communicating well and clearly. And then the final module, we choose 3 modules altogether. The final module is the one where most people choose different options. An example of an area that I cover includes email and writing, email and professional writing. And this is an area where we look at how do we write well? How do we use email and our writing to connect well with people and build relationships, particularly when we never meet them? Alternatively, some people are very focused on the spoken word, and what they really want to be able to do is to speak more naturally and spontaneously. So that's why I have my small talk module as well, which has a real focus around that style of conversation, being able to feel like you're in the flow when you're speaking and you don't have to hesitate to think about what it is you want to say next. So this is the middle section, communication agility. And then the final stage is all about sustainability. And I'm very passionate about this. This really matters to me, that you don't just stop doing a program and then forget about everything that you've done. It matters to me that you can take the ideas, the concepts that we've learned and all the exercises, practical real life examples we've been using, and you can turn that into something that you can apply in your real life and actually take it on by yourself once we've finished the program. So I have a real focus on understanding somebody's habits, their daily schedule, and how they're going to build in learning development for their communication ongoing by themselves. We do a re-evaluation, so we understand from the beginning to the end of the program, have we made progress? Have we made sure that we've kind of moved the bar? And we also identify in there what other areas need still work. And then finally, we developed something I call the Learning Commitment Charter. This is incredibly important because this is, although the template is something I've developed, it really is owned by the client, where they commit and say, what will they take forward in the future? What will they commit to do to continue the development of the program end? So there you go, 3 key stages. Clearly, it's way beyond just meetings and meeting me for this communication coaching. I consider myself also an accountability and motivation partner. And I will often be checking in with my clients in between our sessions, and they will be checking in with me, asking questions, asking for feedback, which is fantastic because it then really makes it an intensive program. That means you're getting really the benefit. Hopefully that's giving you a really good view of how I work and how this particular program, the 9 Steps to Communication Confidence, works. If this sounds like perhaps this is something for you, maybe you recognize yourself as that person who is really ambitious and knows that communication is one of the keys to unlocking your development and your career growth, then I would absolutely love to talk to you about your specific situation, what your goals are, and also where you are today with your communication skills. I invite you, if that sounds like it might be for you, I have a discovery call, which is totally free, where you can come and explore further about the program. I can answer your questions and you can tell me more about yourself, and we can decide together whether this is the right program for you. So I'm going to put a link there for you to book that free call with me. And of course, if you have any questions at all about this particular program or any other types of programs that I do in communication and cultural training for individuals or teams, please do get in touch. I would love to talk to you about how I can support you. Thank you so much for joining me today for this very different Wednesday Words, where I shared a bit more about how I work. Next week, we'll be going back to the usual format and I'll be sharing more around communication and cultural strategies and skills. But thank you so much for listening today and joining me. It's been great to see you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Victoria Reynoldson, communication and culture coach.